Lindsey Graham died.
It is not lost on me that less than 2 days after returning from Ukraine, Lindsey Graham is no more. It is also not lost on me that on July 10th, when Lindsey Graham traveled to Ukraine, Sergei Lavrov, one of Vladimir Putin's closest and most trusted foreign policy advisors, released a scathing statement in which he was barking mad, making it very clear that Russia will continue to do whatever they want until Putin's wants were met. The only reason that Sergei Lavrov's statements came across my radar was because he was just mentioned in the article that I wrote about Paulo Zampoli, because his name appears in Paulo Zampoli's emails and he is a very close associate of Paulo Zampoli. So stick with me here. The same day that Lindsey Graham travels to Ukraine, Sergei Lavrov, one of the most important and influential policy advisors to Vladimir Putin, he's also like one of Putin's longest serving foreign policy advisors as well. He makes a scathing statement making it clear that Russia is digging their heels in when it comes to the conflict in Ukraine. And it's also not lost on me that shortly before Lindsey Graham returned home, he gave a speech making it very clear that, in his opinion, Russia and their conflict, they're done. While certainly not as scathing as Sergei Lavrov's address to the world, Lindsey Graham certainly had words for Russia in terms of what's going to happen to them and their consequences for this conflict.
So when I get back to Washington, I'm going to go with Senator Blumenthal to the Republican and Democratic leader to see if we can find time to move this Russian sanctions package that would give tools to President Trump to help end this war. We have a magic moment in time here. In the coming months, if we do this right, increase Ukraine's lethality, get people to help us with Putin rather than propping him up, we can end this war.
I find it interesting. With that being said, nothing I can do about it. On a more serious note, Lindsey Graham's sister is now going to be taking his place as senator until January of 2027. And literally the only thing that I would like to say about this woman, whose name is Darlene Graham Nordon, something like that. All I want to say is her name, when she was born, on her birth certificate, it was spelled D-A-R-L-E-N-E, typical Darlene. But because Darlene's brother, Lindsey Graham, taught her how to spell it incorrectly, she just stuck with it. It just stuck. So now she only uses the misspelled variation of her name because that's what her brother Lindsey told her to do. So I think it's pretty safe to predict what the next year of this woman's term is going to look like. Whatever Lindsey says goes.
Hey guys, good day, it's LZ and welcome to my YouTube channel. So there's a lot of news going around, Lindsey Graham is dead. So different people are giving their reactions to the video and tell me what you think about it.
So it turns out that Lindsey Graham did have a heart. In memory of Our Lady G, welcome to a very special post-mortem edition of The Fascist Housewives of Washington, D.C., featuring well now dead, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was born in 1955 in the tiny town of Central South Carolina. A good old Southern boy who grew up behind his family's pool hall, became a military lawyer, and eventually rose all the way to the Senate. And Lindsey loved reminding people about his time in the military. And the way he talked about it, you'd think that he himself parachuted into Baghdad. In reality, Lindsey was a military lawyer who served behind his cushy desk in the United States, helping to prepare other people to deploy into combat. Which may explain why he remained so remarkably enthusiastic about sending other people's children into war.
I feel good about the Republican Party. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II. You just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks. Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay.
Go back to South Carolina. I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast.
Nobody loved the idea of an American military intervention quite like Lady G. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Ukraine, Iran, Gaza, I'm sure I'm missing some. And shortly after the US and Israel first attacked Iran, killing 120 school children, well, Lindsey Graham went on Fox News to explain why bombing them was such a great idea.
When this regime goes down, we're going to have a new Mideast. We're going to make a ton of money. We're going to blow the hell out of these people. This regime is in a death row now. It is going to be on its knees. It's going to fall. And when it falls, we're going to have peace like no other time. We're going to have prosperity unlike anyone could ever imagine.
Apparently, Lindsey Graham learned nothing from every other time the United States has bombed a Middle Eastern country in the name of peace. And, well, What do you know? Look at all this oil! But perhaps the greatest military campaign of Lindsey Graham's career was his long and humiliating surrender to Donald Trump. But we'll save that for part 2.
Lindsey Graham died. And I know some of you are like, who was she? Lindsey was a senator for Israel and occasionally hung out in South Carolina. He was known for laughing like a schoolgirl while also supporting bombing them. I know some people are going to be like, wow, making jokes about the dead? No, I'm not going to mock him because I support LGBTQ. I love my gay friends and family, but Lindsey was a special kind of gay. He was gay for Israel, you know? He was a man who liked a package, you know what I mean? He was Mossad's ladybug. He's the only queer person I knew of who supported carpet bombing Iran. I called him the gay of Hormuz. Ironically, he didn't support gay marriage, which just means he was a playa. He was senator for 23 years, which apparently is God's term limit, and his age setting on Grindr. I hope I don't go to hell for these jokes, because I don't want to meet him. Lindsey Graham died before Mitch McConnell. That's not funny. I lost $500 on Kalshi. It was basically a race between the two, the tortoise and the bear. I actually found out that Lindsey died because I was on the phone with Mitch McConnell earlier, and he was like, I was like, Mitch, speak in Morse code. He's like, and then we called Lindsey on three-way, and he's like, three-way? I love that more than I love Israel. First Plattner and then Lindsey. It was a bad week for the graham crackers. Oh, do you think God hates that joke, or does he want schmore? Sorry, call the grammar police. It doesn't make sense that he suddenly died. He didn't have a terminal illness. He didn't recently meet with J.D. Vance. He was 71, but appeared youthful and energetic, like most older gay men who are just cruising. And then he suddenly fell ill after a trip to Ukraine where he was signing aggressive sanctions for Russia. But no one in Russia is known for poisoning anyone. Oh, you really think poison was put in his drink? Ooh, Moscow Mule, my favorite. Let's be honest, he was a war criminal. That's why he got cardiac arrested. I'm aware these jokes are bad, trust me, I already posted them on Twitter. And a fan replied, this is so wrong. I had a ticket purchased for your show, and now I'm not coming. Man, just like South Carolina, now there's another empty seat. I don't normally make this many jokes about the dead, but I know posting this is gonna make a lot of people happy on IG. So I guess you could say this one's for the gram. No filter.
Lindsey Graham died last night, 71 years old. And the tributes want me to say he was complicated. He wasn't complicated, he was consistent. People keep saying don't speak ill of the dead, but I'm not gonna speak ill of him. I'm gonna quote him. And if that sounds the same, take it up with the deceased. A eulogy sums up a whole life, so let some. He was born behind a pool hall, orphaned young, and raised his sister. A genuinely hard beginning, and honestly, he overcame it. I'll give him that. But hold your applause, because that kind of childhood means that ignorance was never available to him as an excuse. He knew what being counted out tasted like. But he spent 30 years running the kitchen anyway. He sat in Strom Thurmond's chair. The 24-hour filibuster against civil rights chair? Yeah, that one. And he made sure to keep it warm for 23 years. You know, original fixtures, guided tours. Now, they'll tell you it's ugly to call a man racist at his own funeral. Well, fine, I won't do it. I'll just let him make the argument. In 2013, immigrants crossing the southern border, he said they came from hellholes. Those were his words. Now, mind you, he said that years before Trump did. In 2019, when a president told 4 congresswomen to go back where they came from, Lindsey went on television and called these women a bunch of communists who, and I quote, hate our country. In 2020, to the black people of his own state, he said, y'all can go anywhere, conservative, not liberal. That was permission with a leash. That's 4 quotes. Different decades, same man. I didn't call him anything, I just ran the tape. And the women, let's not leave out the women, right? In 2018, a woman sat before his committee and testified about her assault. And Lindsey delivered one of the most passionate performances of his career. Not for her, though. He screamed on behalf of the accused. And days later, the sentence he chose on camera, I'm a single white man from South Carolina and I'm told I should shut up. But I will not shut up. Oh, sassy self. Nobody in the history of this country has ever successfully told a single white man from South Carolina to shut up. Then in 2022, Dobbs falls. And while the other Republicans were at least pretending that it was a state's issue, Lindsey introduced a national abortion ban. Weeks before the midterms. He didn't have to. He volunteered. That man never met a woman's decision he didn't want co-signed by Congress. And the spine, let's eulogize the spine. Briefly, since, it was rarely used. 2016, blocking a Supreme Court seat. He begged the cameras, use my words against me. An election year vacancy should wait for the voters. 2020, election year vacancy. He confirmed her in 38 days, while people were already voting. His words were used against him, and he was fine. Literally, the man had no shame. He called Trump a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. The finest sentence of his entire career. His one conviction. Then spent 8 years apologizing to him over 18 holes. And died 4 weeks after winning a primary on that man's complete and total endorsement. Even the timing was loyal. The last work of his hands is still on his desk. Well, it was as of this morning, anyway. A bill putting fresh paperwork between certain voters and their ballots. Tributes say he never stopped fighting. But he never started. Fighting requires a side, right? And this man spent 50 years as a professional +1. Embarrassing. John McCain's shadow, Donald Trump's caddy. Never once was he the subject of his own sentence. A weather vane at least tells you about the wind. He just turned and asked if the wind was pleased. That concludes the reading of the life. He wrote every word of it himself. I just chose the order. We will not be observing a moment of silence. So in lieu of flowers, check your registration. Take 2 people with you. He worried his whole career about the supply of angry white guys. Condolences will be accepted in November. We'll make sure they're counted, assuming his bill doesn't pass first. He'd have wanted the paperwork. Ashes to ashes, record to custody. The service is concluded. History has him now. And history, unlike Lindsey, doesn't change its story for anybody.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham unexpectedly died at 71. And breaking news, his sister Darlene Graham will replace him. You see, when a senator resigns or passes away, often the senator's home state governor picks a temporary replacement. Sometimes it's the voters who pick it. In South Carolina's case, the governor chose Graham's sister to replace him. Let me learn you a little legal lesson. The Constitution says when a senator passes away or resigns before their 6-year term, the gap must be filled by an election. But then the 17th Amendment to the Constitution allows each state to have its governor temporarily appoint someone. South Carolina gives its governor that power. So Governor Henry McMaster chose Graham's sister to serve through January 3rd, when Graham's current term would have ended. This temporary senator is often the presumptive nominee and even the winner of the next Senate election, in this case for the South Carolina seat, which would be coming up in a few months. Here it seems unlikely that Graham's sister is anything but a temporary placeholder because she's related to him. We'll have to stand by and see whether she's going to be the permanent, ongoing senator for the state of South Carolina. Thank you to the 15% of you who stayed to the middle of the video. There's more breaking news coming after the halftime show, a special treat if you will. Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Oh Lord, yeah. Anyway, on to the next story. Next we have Mitch McConnell. Some think he may retire soon, but he says he's still working and has no plans to resign. You see, Kentucky changed its laws in 2024 and removed the governor's power to appoint a temporary senator. Interestingly, Kentucky is a mostly Republican state but has a Democrat governor. If the Democrat governor had been allowed to pick a Democrat replacement, there could have been lots of drama with the local Republican voters. If McConnell left the seat, Governor Andy Beshear would call a special election instead based on the way Kentucky does it. The political parties would choose their nominees and the Senate seat would remain empty until Kentucky voters elected someone. So you see, the Constitution creates the basic framework, but state law based on the amendments to the Constitution actually fills in to determine how the temporary replacement is decided. So thank you again for your attention to this matter, and I'll see you next time.
Lindsey, why don't you just admit that you're gay and then people won't blackmail you anymore?
I feel good about the Republican Party. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. I want to thank the big guy, God. Trump comes later. Mr. President, you're not far behind God.
Flatten Gaza.
Just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
The big question on everyone's mind around the death of Lady G, Lindsey Graham, is if he is not married, had no significant other, and an ambulance was called in the dead of night, who called said ambulance? I've been tracking the story for 12 hours, and yours truly got his hands on the 911 tapes.
911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, I think he's dead.
Who's dead, sir?
I don't know his name. I just know by his screen name, Trump Dumpster.
Okay, just what's your name?
Troy.
Okay, Troy, can you just tell me what happened?
Well, he started grabbing his chest, and I thought he was just clutching for his pearls. But then he fell over, and now he's not moving.
Okay, Troy, we've tracked your location. An ambulance is on the way. I just need you to stay put.
Oh, no. I was only paid for 2 hours. So I'm a go. But the door's unlocked. He's down in the basement. Now, there's a sports poster on the wall. Just push that aside. There's a room back there. But y'all be careful. It's real slippery down there from all the baby oil.
Troy, I really need you to stay put. We just did...
Okay, you heard it here first. Thank you, Troy. Brave, twink, sex worker Troy. Not all heroes wear capes, you guys.
When you look at the last few years since October 7th, many people in this part of the world say what happened in Gaza does not align with Christian values. Killing children, killing mothers,
I'll be honest
killing
with
families
you.
who are not militants.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Why?
Because what did we do in World War II? Did we think 1 minute about starving the Germans? Did we bomb every city into to smithereens? So this is a war. No,
October 7th to World War II.
Yes, I am. This is an absolute existential threat to the Jewish people. What happened on October the 7th was 1,200 people were slaughtered, raped, and murdered and filmed by radical Islamists who would kill every Jew if they could, to the world. If you don't understand this is a threat to Israel's
And then
survival,
they flattened Gaza.
just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong to drop an atomic bomb to end the Japanese reign of terror? Were we? So my view, if I were Israel, I would have probably done it the same way. Without military victory, there is no hope of breaking radicalism. We flattened Germany. We flattened Japan.
How many Americans
Wait a
believe
minute.
this?
Out of that, we...
The way that how many Americans think the way that you do?
I think most Republicans think the way I do.
Even young ones.
You're just out of touch if you don't understand Republicans, when it comes to radical Islam, is on Israel's side. It's not even close.
The loss of Lindsey Graham is so much worse for Donald Trump than you realize. Because when people say things like Trump is just going to do whatever he wants, it only feels that way because of people like Lindsey Graham. So for Trump, his loss hits on 3 levels. Now first, this level is the most important, but it may be the least reported because it's the nerdiest. Graham served as chair of the Senate Budget Committee. That's the committee that was responsible for the big bullshit bill. And he also served on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is on the hook this week for hearing whether Todd Blanche will get confirmed or not. And along with a bunch of other committees, he served on the Senate Appropriations Committee along with Mitch McConnell. That committee is chaired by Susan Collins, who is already fighting for her political life. The failures of that Appropriations Committee are why the government had a record shutdown last year. And now, without the votes of McConnell or Graham, Democrats hold a 14-13 vote majority on that committee, which means until Graham is replaced and McConnell is back, that committee functionally doesn't exist. Now, maybe more importantly, Graham intended to use his power as chair of the Budget Committee to launder pieces of the Save America Act through budget reconciliation. That's the same process they had to use to pass the big bullshit bill, which I remind you only passed 51-50. But now without Graham as the chair, Republicans are going to have to find someone else. And that's the second level, because no one else is Lindsey Graham. There was a reason they called him the Trump Whisperer. And while I don't really want to know about whatever House of Cards shit they had going on between them, I do know that no one else knew how to influence the Senate on behalf of Trump the way that Graham did. Lastly, Graham wasn't just the most important senator in terms of bringing Trump's agenda to life. He was a guaranteed loyal vote for that agenda when it mattered most. And Trump squandered that vote across all of 2026, because it was on March 8th, over 4 months ago, that the open infection of Trump's presidency leaked out onto social media with a desperate declaration that he, as president, would not sign any other bills until the Save America Act was passed. He controls the House, he controls the Senate, he controls the Supreme Court, and he holds the pen. But because he's too stupid to understand how government works, he gave up 4 months when he had Graham's vote for a voter suppression bill that even with that vote never had a chance. If he was planning on screwing himself like this, he could have at least set up an account and charged us to wash. But now, Suppressing votes is the least of his concerns, because with the government set to run out of funding on September 30th, he's going to have his tiny hands full with just keeping the lights on.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please support our channel by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a good day.